How's everybody doing out there? Yeah! Hey, that guy's excited to be here. Woo! He's the one that cheers for the local football team, no matter how bad they are. He's like, hey man, they're 0-16, but I'm just happy to be alive. Hey, that's the way to roll. Anyway, what are we talking about again? I just got here. Anyway, guys, this is the voice acting panel with Mr. Paul St. Peter. He's at his booth finishing his autograph, so he will be here shortly. Until then, you're gonna have to deal with me. Anyway, raise your hand if you've ever thought about being a voice actor. Hey man, you need to raise that hand faster. There you go. He's like, Alright guys, the cool thing about Mr. Paul St. Peter that you're gonna learn is that Paul is a legit voice actor. He's about to give us some of his best voices, and you're not going to believe the sounds that come out of that man's voice. It is pretty intense. I have had the privilege of working with Mr. Paul St. Peter before, and he has definitely showed me how rich and talented he is. Anyway, coming to the stage right now is Mr. Paul St. Peter. Everybody give him a hand.
Give your hand right back.
Oh, got him.
Thank you so much.
He said thank you so much. He didn't even just say thank you. He wants to more.
I touch more above me. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for being here. This is how to be a kick-ass voice actor with Paul St. Peter.
There you go.
And luckily, I'm Paul St. Peter.
I was going to say, but it's not how to kick a voice actor's ass. It's how to be a kick-ass voice actor.
That's it. I'm out of here.
But Paul, tell us how you got into voice acting.
Well, as an actor, you want to learn as many skills as you can. As a dialectician, as a person who's learning how to speak, maybe just a touch more. Just
look at how professional he is. He knows exactly what he wants. I love it.
There we go. There we go. 2, 3, 2, 3, 3. Are we maxed? Just a little bit more. Just a little bit. Yeah, that's it. Great.
Perfect. There you go.
Because now I can play off of the mic as I need to, because I've got a lot to work with.
There you go.
Excellent.
There you go. Very exciting.
Believe me, the engineers are the ones that make us sound good. I began as an actor in San Diego. I was at the Old Globe Theater, San Diego Junior Theater. I was at Starlight Civic Light Opera. I was asked to become a member of the chorus of the opera company. So as a singer, my background made a big difference as being a voice actor. As I mentioned, you want to learn as many things as you can, and learning an accent and dialect is very important as an actor. You need to be able to portray the foreigner, the alien, or whatever the case may be. Now what I did, I studied as a dialectician. I learned the phonetic alphabet, I learned about linguistics and all that sort of thing. And a friend who was a voiceover actor heard me doing some stuff. And he said, why don't you come and audition? Come and audition for a series. And I didn't know anything about it, I'd never done it before. And so I went in for Robotech, which was my very first series. That was in 1984. 1985.
There we go.
I'll just be honest with you. So it was 1985, and I got the chance to do my own voice, which is unusual. I rarely ever get to use my own voice. I'm always being a character. That's why when I come and do a convention like this, a lot of people are hearing me for the very first time. They don't know what I really sound like. Because I'm constantly doing something else. I almost never get to use my voice. So, as Zor Prime, the first principal character I played, I did roughly 20 episodes there, and then about 30 more episodes total in the series. And that was sort of like my introduction, and it was almost accidental. It happened to be I got married last week.
Hey, congratulations! Awesome.
Thank you, thank you. I mentioned that because it was my first wife that introduced me to the guy that got me into animation and voiceover. And so she did that, I just got rid of her. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
He also does stand-up, obviously.
A little bit, it becomes part of the deal. Like I used to say, I used to be married, but I'm all better now. You know, so. Did I say that out loud? My God, it's wow. Yeah, I'm not going to do it again. Well, I went all the way to the Philippines to do that, so I did. I was in the Philippines and got married halfway around the world. Anyway, but that was kind of, in a way, you might say accidental. That's how I got my introduction into it. From there, it goes to video games, to various series, things like that.
So I was going to say, so it's also, a lot of people aspire to be a voice actor, but you're classically trained. That's what you've done, all kinds of stage act, right?
Yeah. As I say, an actor should learn as many skills as possible. I have done Shakespeare. I've looped and dubbed things in about 20 different languages. You need to be able to do a lot of things, so you always train. Train, study. I say that over again, I will always say it. It makes a huge difference. I was once cast to be in a project. The reason I got cast, I was the only person that recognized what the copy was about. I didn't know that, I just auditioned like everybody else. You okay back there? I think somebody just stomped on a chihuahua. Poor dog.
He's getting ready, folks. He's getting ready.
Well, I'm just thinking, can they make these any more flimsy? I'm not even sweet. All right. Anyway, as an actor had studied Shakespeare, verse, narration, prose poetry, and all that sort of thing. You know, of course you do. That's the point. You want to learn as many things as an actor as you can. So I auditioned for this part. I get the role. I do the session. I come out and I'm signing the paperwork. The head of the studio walks up to me and says, "You know, we didn't know what this stuff was until we heard your audition." I said, "What do you mean?" I recognized that the guy that wrote the story talked about what the story first. This is what happened. And then he wrote a poem about it. And so the actual poetry, which was a version of prose poetry, was something I recognized. And that's why I auditioned and read it the way I did. And here they were, wondering, every time they heard each actor trying to read this, they were going, "What the heck? What is this? What is this? What is this?" And then they heard my audition and said, "Oh, that's what that is." And that's why they cast me. Because 30 years before, I had listened in a class. That got me the role. You get, in fact, are castable. The more you know, the better you get at these things.
Wait, you actually listened in class? I've never done that.
Yeah, I know. This is a bizarre thing about me too, because I hated school. I didn't like it at all. I didn't enjoy school. They were making me study stuff I hated, you know, all this crap, right? Well, I've taught at 5 universities.
Wow.
I never went to college. I didn't go, you know. But my skill level with accents and dialects and phonetics and all that other stuff is such that I'm usually called in by a college professor who doesn't know what I know. And so the first time I taught in college, I kind of walked onto the campus of the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. It was my first teaching job.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and I expected to get busted. Even to this day, I expect someone to walk up behind me and tap me on the shoulder. Mr. St. Peter, we're the credential police. I keep thinking something like that will happen. But a buddy of mine, a fellow actor, listened to my complaints about that. And because I said, "God, I don't know how to react. I don't know what to do." And he said, "Paul, look," and he had gone to college, he'd done all this. He said, "You have to just remember that a BS is exactly that." And an MS is more of the same. And a PhD means it's piled higher and deeper. He says, I've done all that stuff and it makes no difference. He says, clearly you know how to do what they're doing. You know what they know and they don't know, so they bring you in. So don't worry about it. All I did was essentially solve the problem by calling myself a guest instructor.
There you go.
Yeah. So when they bring me in, I go and say, well, what are you doing here? Well, the head of the drum department needed a specialty thing doing, so I'm doing that. I'm a guest instructor. So nobody ever asks. But again, I still think that one of these days I'm going to turn around and there's two guys standing there, men in black, right? You're coming with us.
And then you're going to hit it with the tequila and you just walk away. And then you never see you.
Oh my God, I'm getting close to 70-year-olds. Are you that bad?
Are you ever, you're like, I'm just giving myself up at this point.
Well, at some time I want to explain to people, I said, look, I don't know if you're expecting me to be some, mega specialist from, Zion University, in the middle of blah, 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 planet system or something, but I'm just a guy that learned these skills as an actor. Never meant to be a teacher.
So one of my favorite accents that you did, because we worked together before, I love your Scottish accent. His Scottish accent was awesome.
That's my favorite one.
That's your favorite one?
I don't know why. For some reason it just sticks with me. But there's a very strange thing about that. If you're in Scotland and you hear them speaking that way, there's a strange feeling, almost like it's a familiar to me. It just feels natural. Well, thank you.
Do you ever do that at the supermarket or anywhere when you're buying something? Do you use like any type of accent voice where you do that just to have fun?
Once in a while I will mess with someone. I just feel right. Pretend.
Just say, can you do a voice?
Can I do a voice? Well, what do you think I'm doing now? Okay, yeah, I'll demonstrate a couple of voices, and I kind of get to that anyway when we talk about this. How many have thought about, at least kind of casually, being a voice actor?
Raise your hand, raise it up, high in the air.
Come on, get
raise
it
it up, raise it up, raise it up, raise it up.
Everybody has. Everybody's thought
there you
about it. If only to say, wow, this sounds like fun. It's fun when you're working. It's fun when you're working. And generally speaking, it's a fun way to make a living. It's a fun way to do things. But I talk about doing the voice and asking people what they would want, maybe as a career or whatever, because most people raise their hands. But when I do my panel called Voice Maker and I ask people to try, the hands don't come up anymore. Oh, you mean like right now? Yeah, there's no pressure at all. Let me do the big voice for me. I'll do that. What's your name? Yeah, I'm still here. You're Laura. Okay. Laura, give me your chakra, and I will give you power. She's leaving.
How did that voice come out of you? That's incredible. The first time I heard her do that voice in live, I was like, wow, that's incredible.
I actually created it. I've heard other versions of it, but I created my version of it. When I was cast in a series, I don't remember, I don't even know what it was. I was cast to play a mountain.
Mountain, okay.
Yeah. They actually wanted me to do the voice of a mountain. Whatever the storyline was, two riders were supposed to cross this mountain range and go down to the other side and save civilization or something. I forget what it was. Right? And so the mountain comes alive and starts to drop rocks and stuff like this. And they wanted me to do it. And my line was, two riders, too bad. And the director said, did that voice come out of your heels?
Exactly, wow.
Now here's the fun thing about it. It's not a deep voice. No. It's not the pitch being deep, it's the placement. It's the way I place my voice. Let me demonstrate how that works. This is my normal speaking voice, again, that I rarely ever get to use. So listen carefully as I'm taking it down here but taking it actually here and keeping it. That's right in the middle of my range. So it's not a deep voice at all. It's the way I pitch it. I pitch the voice and place the voice. Okay? So the placement of the voice is in this area. I'm doing this to my vocal cords. Don't do that. Bad for you. Don't, all of you, the big guy there, anybody, don't do that voice. It's bad for you. I can do it. I can get away with it. I'm an expert.
What?
What? Yeah, I sang 4 years with the San Diego Opera Company, and I've taught voice and speech for years and years. I know how to do it. Don't do it. It'll get you in trouble. It'll just get you a lot of trouble. So in fact, you're not hearing a deeper voice. You're hearing a voice that's placed differently. So here it's back in my throat, and I'm scraping my vocal cords together. But if I come out of that, that's right in the middle of my range. So, how many people know Digimon?
Oh, right.
Let me hear it, come on. Because we all know Digimon rules and Pokemon doesn't.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's easy.
Exactly.
We're Jewel Monsters, they're the champions. Yeah. So in fact, the deepest voice that I do is the smallest character that I do. Yeah. So as you're hearing this, this is the middle of my voice, and I'm dropping down here. Who's that? It's Wordmon. Wordmon's the littlest guy I ever did, and it's the deepest voice I use. I didn't think about that until recently, and I thought, that the fact is that I pitched it lower than anything else. And it's this little tiny worm, this little guy, you know. That's where the voice talent, the voice expertise comes in. It makes a big difference to know your instrument and know the skills and what you need to do to make voices work differently. Maybe a little hydration going here.
I was going to say, on that note, that voice you do for Kurama,
This voice doesn't like the chairs.
the voice that you do for Kurama, you're right, that pitching your voice that way can permanently damage your vocal cords if you're not an expert in what you're doing. I knew a singer, he was a singer in his church choir, and he got into some hard rock, and he sang like that every day, concerts, and so now he's an AV tech. He's an AV tech, and so when I asked him something, or when people ask him something, it sounds like he's getting over a cough. And so you really can't hear him. And so my buddy, he tells me, he said, I can't really hear what he's saying. He goes, dude, he was actually a really great singer, but he got into heavy rock, and he started pitching his voice like that. Because he did that for about a year and a half, and he destroyed his vocals. He can't talk about that. That's why he got into AV tech. So you're right. That voice that you do, it's a very professional level thing.
Yes, be so careful, and do not do those things unless you are trained. Especially get trained by me.
There you go, there you go.
But I would say just don't do it, because it's too easy to be tempted to make a voice like that, which will just destroy you. You know, your voice will be gone. It can be destroyed.
I was going to say, you're saying be trained by me, we're supposed to do the website.
Paul St. Peter, the voice actor.
It's him slaying the dragon, it's the first picture, it's like that.
Actually, it's a very big fish. I caught the record-sized fish in my family. A 90-pound grouper in the Sea of Cortez in Mexico.
So do we have any questions for Mr. Paul St. Peter?
Yes, those of you, by all means, I know there are questions usually, or just generally speaking. Okay.
What kind of vocal care do you do?
The vocal care that I do, yeah. The question is, what kind of vocal care do I do? I hydrate 2 to 3 quarts of water per day. It's as much a question of what I don't do. I don't smoke anything. Actually, you shouldn't do dairy. Yeah, dairy actually affects your voice too. I have almost no dairy in my diet. Do not drink Coke. Don't drink Mountain Dew, all that stuff. It's syrup-based. That stuff gets on your vocal cords and just gums them up for hours at a time. So in fact, your voice is never really being properly warmed up, so you want to make sure that you don't do that kind of crap. Again, don't smoke anything. Things like coffee and tea. You don't want to say no because those have tannic acid and they reduce the swelling in your vocal cords, okay? But they also dry your vocal cords out. So you have to kind of watch your taters on that stuff. Again, don't smoke anything. Stay away from dairy products. Stay away from anything syrup-based. Citrus also. That gums up your voice. So the number of things that I don't do is more important than the things that I do for my work.
That's a great question, great answer. Anyone else? Make sure you raise your hands up high. We want to get everybody. Let's just go down the road.
What kind of vocal exercises do you use? I know you have to do some to make sure that you stay straight.
I sing scales, that sort of thing. I also sing, when I'm doing that, on my DVD, or my CD, are songs that I got from my voice teacher so many decades ago. I still do them. And so you maintain the voice, the circulation, you make sure that you have the range completely open and available to you all the time. So the reason I chose the songs that I do, and there are 6 of them on my CD, is that they stretch my range all the way up and all the way down. Now as far as the warm-up goes, you know, rubber baby buggy bumpers, rubber baby buggy bumpers. Let's see. Rubber baby buggy bumpers. Okay. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. Yeah. Yeah. Black bug's blood, black bug's blood, black bug's blood. You eat New York, you eat New York, you eat New York. Yeah.
The Tongue Twister panel hosted by Mr. Paul St. Peter.
Yeah. Those are things that I do on a pretty regular basis. The whole point being you want to keep everything exercised. You do not know when you're going to be called. You just have no idea.
That's great. Anybody else questions? Raise your hand.
Give us your worst dad joke ever.
My worst bad joke ever? I'm not even the dad, but okay. Not that I know about it, but... let's see. The worst dad joke, I know quite a few bad ones, but this is pretty awful. I signed up for a memory improvement class, but I forgot to go.
The first question is...
Oh, it's a two-parter.
The first question is, when did you feel like that connection between you and Randy once after you started to really connect in this?
Sorry, the contact between what?
When did you first start to realize the connection between your voice acting perspective started to really connect between you and Miley Flanagan as a virtual?
You and Miley Flanagan, how did y'all build the connection on Naruto?
Miley and I have never worked together. As voice actors, we work alone in the studio. It's the most difficult style of acting I've ever done because you are all alone. You got to make everything happen in a space about this big. That's where the microphone is on you, so you've got to stay frozen in place, relaxed but frozen in place. Miley and I didn't even meet until I went to a union meeting, and that was about 4 years ago. I had never met her before. So I worked on that show for almost 15 years before I met Miley. So the connection is when you connect with the character that you're doing, and if the writing is good, it's connected through the writing. Miley's terrific.
I was going to say, I've worked at several conventions where a lot of the voice actors' entire cast have never met before. I've been there you would always think that, oh, they must go out to eat after every gig. No, some of them have worked on the same series for 15, 20 years, and they'll meet at a convention, and it's almost like you have a long-distance friendship. It's like you have no idea who they are or what they look like sometimes, and then you meet them. So yeah, that happens a lot, man. That's a very big thing that people get confused is that they assume that you guys work in the same studio all
Oh,
the time.
we're like this. We're all get together. Okay, you three are up next. Okay, so it's not like that at all. I go in there and I'm by myself, and the director's here and the engineer's there, and that's it. Sometimes somebody from the client, but that's good.
My final one would be, I read that you were in Rivertown. You didn't make it to the one where Forma dies, right?
We don't know that. Spoiler alert, did anybody not know? Yeah, you Furama fans out here for, and Naruto, if you didn't know that, oh, there's the spoiler.
He's saying, how did you feel during that scene?
Oh yeah, when I did that final session, I will be very honest with you. I went out to my car and I cried. 17 years doing a role, you get connected. You get attached. I don't care what actor tells you that, I promise you they're lying. The role that you get to know very well and the role that your character dies, it messes you up.
Any other questions?
Very, very hard for me.
Yeah, when you were talking about voicing Wormmon, how that's your deepest voice, do you have any recollection of how, when you were recording your line for when Wormmon digivolves, your pitch was just higher, for no explainable reason?
Yeah, in fact, I wanted to keep the same quality of the voice. The reason I picked the Wormmon voice that I did was that I wanted him to be sort of frightened all the time. That's why his voice is always trembling and shaky and I wanted to make sure I had that quality in there. And so I wanted to keep that one I did was Stingmon and Digivolved. So that's why it was Wormmon Digivolved to Stingmon. Sting, hear that? I'm still shaking. Okay. So I made that a part of the voice, but yeah, and I pitched up because I needed to be a lot louder because I was always firing things from a distance, you know. But that's how, in my particular case, that's how a voice can be affected by a quality that I did before. Sometimes they give you a direction to do something, and you just have to come up with it. One of the advantages of having all the dialects and accents I have in my front pocket here, and this is what most of you guys are going to be too young for this, but I was playing basically a gangster, organized crime guy with a suit and all that stuff. All right, and I was a Southerner, but they wanted to be a gangster also. And so I thought, what can I combine to try to make this voice interesting? So I decided to become a Taiwan or Southerner like this, all right? That guy was from Atlanta or something like that, along those lines. But I decided to give him a gangster voice. So I made him a Southern gangster who sounds like Marlon Brando. Now, if you don't know Marlon Brando, but my audiences are shrinking. So what I did was I decided to make him a Tidewater sort of Southerner like that. And I added the voice of a group because any man who does not take care of his family is not a man. So when you do that voice, and you decide to turn him into a Southerner, that's what I do. And that's why I tell people to study, because I did that on the spot. I never practiced because, you know, as an actor, and I don't think other actors do either, we don't sit around going, well, why don't I try combining this and this? I do that to a degree, but I wouldn't have thought, why don't I sit down and make Marlon Brando a Southern gangster? Why would I just randomly come up with that idea? Anyone else?
It's funny though, they did.
Yeah.
How was it working on the Kingdom Hearts series and did you do Anson's voice?
I wasn't answering.
Zemus.
How was it working on the series? Well, it was solo. Like I said, we don't get to work with other people. So they'll say, well, what was it like to work with Steve Bloom on Cowboy Bebop? Or what was it like working with Richard Epcar on Kingdom Hearts? We don't work together. We go in and we do our lines of dialogue solo. And yet, when you listen to us, it sounds like we are interacting with the other person. That's why I say it's the most difficult style of acting I've ever done. I've done Shakespeare, Shaw, Marlowe, classic Ben Jonson, classic actors from Shakespeare's time, classic playwrights from Shakespeare's time. I've done this incredibly difficult stuff. This is among the hardest things to do because you're by yourself. I do not have props. I do not have a fellow actor to talk to react off of. And yet, we sound like we're having a conversation. As far as working on Kingdom Hearts, that was a real kick because it was so very, very different from what I was used to. Because I've done video games before, but we were given very specific instruction. Okay, the client in Japan said they wanted the timing to be the same. They wanted the timing to be the same for the line in Japanese, but they wouldn't let us rewrite, they wouldn't let us add anything. And as I like to demonstrate it, the line in Japanese was this long, and the line they wrote for us was this long. And we had to try and stretch it out. So when you hear the voice of Xemnas, that isn't the way I auditioned. I auditioned with that voice, but just a normal pace. I didn't make it anything special. But here's the problem. When the line is, he will know. So if the line in English, and I say, he will know, right? The trouble is the Japanese was about 8 syllables long. And so we had to come up with an answer for that. And again, they wouldn't let us add lines. We couldn't write anything. We couldn't even change a contraction. He's here. We couldn't change it to he is here with an extra sound. It had to be the same way. So that's why Xemnas sounds the way he does. I had to stretch everything out. That's why I have the longest K sounds in the industry. The longest M sounds. Listen to this one. The line is, answer the wise, you look pathetic. Okay? This is the way I have to do it. Answer the wise, you look pathetic. The amount of time I had to cover with that line, again, was this long, and the line was that long. That's why. Answer the wise, you look pathetic. And that filled the time signature out. After having done 4 hours, I'm kidding, 4 hours of that, I came back the next time. I thought, man, they're going to think that sucked. They're going to start over, or they're going to recast me, or whatever. But I get in there and I'm sitting, ready to go. And the director gets on the talk back. He goes, okay, they love that. Let's do it again. But remember, in this industry, who is right? Is that? Yeah. Some people say the director, the writer, no. Whoever signs the checks is right, okay? So the client said that's what they wanted. So I came in and did the equivalent of 16 hours of slowing everything down like this. And that's why, again, Xemnas sounds the way he does. I did not intend it that way. But they kept eating it up year after year. I said, okay.
I was gonna say, how come you haven't become a movie trailer guy? I feel like you, that should be Paul St. Peter right there.
That's kind of what I based the voice on, but not really. But all of us do that, you know. In a world where puppies fight dragons and cockroaches do your taxes, one aardvark will change everything, you know. So we all have a little something of that. But yeah, the movie trailer voice, you know, they're getting away from that now.
I know they are. That's horrible because we all look forward to it.
Exactly right. Sometimes that's the best part.
And yeah, it's like, did you see it? It's like, oh, I do want to live in a world like that, where things do that. So anyway, any other questions? We're about to wrap up here in a little bit, but we're going to get all the questions in.
It seems like you've done a lot of like action anime. Have you ever thought about doing, you know, like anything like romance or, you know, slice of life, anything like that?
You talk about if you've ever experimented in other genres. Obviously, you've done a lot of serious roles. Any other genres, more playful, more fun, romantic?
Well, I've done a little bit of, you know, audiobooks. And so I'm doing different characters there, so adventure stories, that sort of thing. I haven't done much of that though. Sadly, that stuff doesn't pay very well. It's a lot of work and you don't get a lot of money for it. So some people can do well at it, not me. So, I mess around with voices, yes. And this gentleman, you have a chance to speak at me.
I want to hear more about the technology side of your voice work. Like, are you worried about where AI is going, for instance, and what sort of technology, like do you have a home studio? I know it's kind of a multi-layered question, but technology's got to be a big part of voice acting.
It's very worrisome. It's growing not just quickly, but exponentially. It's getting to the point where they can almost reproduce my voice so accurately that you can't tell it's not me. The one thing left for us, and might be the only thing that ends up being the thing left for us, is that we still bring a human element. No engineer is going to be able to reproduce my acting choices. They're not going to be able to bring the same emotion. Although I shouldn't say never. My home studio, yeah, my stuff that I recorded at home has been on TV and in films, animation, so I've got a good studio, all right. One of the dangers of that is that they like to get out of the studio because it makes it a lot cheaper. But then now I become responsible for the engineering element. It's not, it shouldn't be. You know. Besides, if you have a studio that costs $2 million, why would you want to go to my $700 closet? Because that's what I have. A booth that I set up with $700, counting the microphone and the mixer. And yet, when I do that stuff, everybody listens and they hear it, and they're going like, well, that's great. Your booth is wonderful. I said, you know, it doesn't have to be expensive. I am worried, just as anyone else is worried about AI, because they really are going to try and take the human element out of it simply because of the money. It is so annoying. To train the way I have, to have the experience that I have, to have the decades, the background, and the culture that goes into that sort of thing, and find out that somebody doesn't want that anymore. They don't want to bring the guy anymore. They have a woman that might do a phenomenal voice, you know, combination of Betty Boop and all these other things. She can do these amazing voices. They don't want her anymore. They'll just go ahead and make the things because it sells, and if it's cheap, they'll go with the cheapest route. Good question.
Great question. Guys, quick announcement. In 10 minutes, we have the gaming tournaments for Smash as well as Dragon Ball Z. So if you're wanting to enter the tournament for Smash and Dragon Ball Z, please report to the gaming area. Thank you.
And thank you guys. Thank you all for being here. Come by my table and check everything out. I haven't had a chance to look at this stuff, but there's amazing stuff out here. Thank you.
Guys, give him a big round of applause. Go visit him at his table. He's a phenomenal voice actor. Phenomenal voice actor. I'm so glad we got to bring him out. Incredibly working with his